Some things never change. Tier 2 is back, FPRL is back. Welcome to Season 6. Good evening, everyone. This is Cruiser 1872 back again on a Friday. And as I mentioned, Tier 2 as well. We've got new drivers, new, new teammates, new partnerships, but the same old goal victory and a chance at our Tier 2 Drivers and Constructors Championship, which I believe last season our Constructor Champions were the AlphaTauri pair of Diamond and Brownsy, the latter of the two picking up the Drivers' Championship and making a step up to Tier 1. Of course, winning the Tier 2 Championship does bring that luxury of being classed in FPRL's Elite. But joining me tonight should hopefully be, that will be arranged and discussed in due time. Right now I'm joined by Mr. Nobody, so it's me, myself and I to take us through qualifying for this evening. And I want to mention as well, Twitch, good evening to everyone tuning in on our Twitch channels, of course. All of our races streamed on twitch.tv/FP Racing League, where this week we've had some fairly chaotic events in Tier 3. L Plan picking up the victory by the slimmest of margins, and Tier 1 proving that margins of victory could be a lot smaller. Yep, less than 1/10 of a second between our winning driver, the return of Object Fungus, and in Tier 3, as mentioned, L Plan winning by half a second in the Ferrari. And Python, a good evening to you and their return to Tier 2, of course spending the social races, our Tier social races, throughout the month of July, down in the lower tier, Tier 3, but seems to have satisfied management and has put himself back up into Tier 2. And on a Friday night, and a good evening as well, C. Davies, thank you for that drink redemption. Anyway, we'll jump over towards the McLaren of Diamond Duchy. How ironic, Diamond in a McLaren around Bahrain. Bring back Season 4 highlights, where this time, hopefully, he won't be beaten and trounced by a Ferrari. You know what I'm on about there, Diamond, but you know, before anyone complains, there's your telemetry. How about that? Nigel, good evening to you. C. Davies saying enjoyed a double drink, of course, as well with our Twitch streams. You earn channel points for tuning in and for watching the stream. And you can use those channel points. I just had to check there real quick what we have for redemption. I forget. As Diamond a 29-1 through the first sector. That's relatively stable. And we have a Truth or Dare redemption, which I know I'm going to be flooded with for commentary by myself. We got a safety car question for a bit more engagement, cold comms, drinks, and drink redemptions as normal. Commentator catchphrase, keep it PG, lads, please. And you can nominate a catchphrase, again, hopefully it's kept PG, because I know some people in this chat like to get a little bit, how do I say it, a little bit pushy with what they want people to say on commentary. But I will say as well for Diamond, this has been a relatively okay lap for the opening lap, and an 8-0 make that a 35-1 through the middle sector. If I'm right, then I deserve some form of gold medal for that, because I'm talking out of my rear, I'm pretty sure. Shadows, good evening to you as well, saying Nigel and PG is not a bond. Well, him and Phenom are a connection, which I'm sure Nigel was absolutely thrilled to have as their teammate. I know that. And representing the Mercedes, I would say the best team in the paddock, but that's just straight up biased because I'll be cheering for them this season. As Diamond a 30.0 and Stwid on a 29.7, and Stwid, if we've been watching the tiered races, could be a man to watch in this. He's put in some very stellar performances, and as I said, might be a bit of a wild card for tonight, who knows. Anyway, from one Alpha to another, the teammate General Jake swapping out the McLaren for the Alfa Romeo still in the pits, and Jake was definitely one to be considered for Tier 1, just didn't quite make the cut. We got Robin as well, up from Tier 3 I believe. Actually tell all I know, Tier 4 last season. Robin making a massive leap and bound forward, swapping out the Alpine for the AlphaTauri, and Robin's pace as well has been something to watch too. And what Tier 2 done last season was make it so unpredictable for pole positions, and I would argue the closest or most closely contested field for qualifying. Not because I commentated on them a lot, toot toot. And personally, keep an eye out because there could be a few surprises tonight. Phenom on a 30.2, still following Robin actually. We'll let them prepare themselves for their run. We'll jump down towards the other Mercedes now of Nigel Piddle as Silverside Boy displays his phenom also on a 30.2. Anyway, Nigel, through he goes up towards turn 5, now turn 6 and turn 7, quick on the throttle, using a lot of that inside curve there to get the best exit he can, and the run towards turn 8, a very important traction zone to be fair around this track, and then turn 9, and if you're feeling dangerous, turn 10, probably the most important corner on the lap. It's just terrible, that's all I'm going to say, and it was the scene of my last lap gambit against L-Plan, which didn't quite work out, as Reese on their return to the league in the main championships on a 29.3, so decent lap there for Reese. Sorry, I'm getting a bit distracted there by Discord. As Nigel, wow, up by 8 tenths on Diamond's time. So keep an eye out for Nigel here. He's delivered, shall we say, on his time trial times, putting in a lot of work and a lot of practice for tonight's race. And it seems like that practice is being put to the test as try and go on board with Nigel Pedal. Away we go. It's a 29.1 for Nigel, aided with the slipstream there, I believe, from Hirsch in the Alpine, but Nigel, he's not messing around tonight. Halo in the Williams on their lap, on the shortlist actually, I believe for Tier 3, as Collateral Adzo's up into 3rd place. Decent that from the McLaren, must be said. And Diamond and Collateral Ads, certainly a respectable team, I would say, in Tier 2. Diamond, as I mentioned, picking up the Tier 3 championship, and last season was a very strong teammate and fully embraced the I wouldn't say embraced the number 2 role, but he definitely supported the teammate Groundsy, a team effort last season to pick up the Constructors' Championship. So Diamond chasing their 3rd championship in 3 years, or at least 3 years, 3 seasons. If it was 3 years, oh goodness me, he'd be on a roll. Michaelo around turn 11 and out towards turn 12. This is important not to go too much on the inside and keep the white line, not taking any more risks there. At turn 13, then the launch towards the final 2 corners of this Bahrain circuit. And I see Silverside Boy a little bit less than impressed, I think, from some antics on track. His first race, dust off the cobwebs and shake off a little bit of rust as Michaelo down to the start finish line, and Michaelo goes up into 2nd. I told you we had some wild cards tonight, and Michaelo could be one of them. A 29.3, narrowly beating Reese, and that's put him only 2 tenths behind Nigel. I think now we'll come forward actually with the Haas of Jaffmaster, a man who, shall we say, had 0 luck last season in Season 5, but the resurgence of Jaffmaster, I think, in the off-season, a fantastic showing at Zandvoort, picking up their first pole and a podium to boot, and I'm pretty sure a 2nd place around Imola. So Jaffmaster on the up, got 3rd around Zandvoort, 2nd in Imola, going to make it 1st place tonight and pick up their first win in the league also, swapping out the Alfa Romeo for the Haas. Now around turn 10, and George shifting up to 4th gear, got to get that traction down as quick as you can out of that corner, now towards turn 11 and turn 12. Taking a bit of a wider line there, careful not to throw too wide, but open up the corner as much as you can, and now full throttle up the hill, 7th gear for the Haas, and now the middle sector is a 7.7, well, 107.7 for Jaffmaster. The lap so far could put him towards P5 or P6 between Swid and Diamond. Bookieman as well, another name that's not been seen in a while. Bookieman making a step down from Tier 1 to get I think to find a bit more of their form, but Bookieman, welcome back to lead racing. I certainly have missed you on track for antics. Oh! No! Nigel's gone at the back, he's out! Oh no! Nigel Pedal, what are you like? Well, welcome to Tier 2 everyone, where the unpredictable is a certainty. Oh my, well that's took us by surprise a little bit. And to celebrate, I'll toast the C Davies. There you go. But, oh my. And Nigel saying that in 5th gear his car just spun round. There. Complete attraction zones playing a major role in Nigel Piddle, who at the moment is going to start down in 15th for tonight's race. I should mention as well, with 18 drivers in the field, and Nigel saying the lobby might be glitched. I'm going to need confirmation on that, but certainly I'm going to hover over the reset button. I'm not going to press it, I'm just going to hover over it, because right now we're seeing a few times on the board C Davies can definitely go faster than that, and it is now go for another run. So we'll have a look at the Ferrari's lap, and C Davies himself mentioned this is his third season, and the third time he's in a Ferrari-powered engine. Well, Ferrari-powered constructor, because last season it was Alfa Romeo, and I believe he was Haas on their first run in season 4, and now stowing to the main team being Ferrari, up by 2 seconds already on their lap, so C Davies needs that. And Python saying top of the medium runners, actually, yeah. I've seen as well quite a few medium runs on this, and to be fair, Python is down in P11 on a 30.2. But still, it's how do we say this? It's complimentary to Python being the fastest of the medium tyre runners, but C Davies around the middle sector, and I'm seeing as well Phenom out on another lap looking for improvement. And we had another time on the board. I think that was Robin who went up to 7th on a 29.8. Raza Gamer as well on a 29.6. Jake on a 29.5. And this top 10's looking a bit close. I say that's close, only 4 tenths covering from first down to 6th. 6 drivers covered by that, and C Davies puts his name in the mix. Now mate, that's 7 drivers, 29.5 for C Davies, and I'm noticing a pattern here between 3 people. General Jake on their in lap, Plateau adds on their out lap, and C Davies just sitting their lap all on a 29.5. Good evening Bluntblade, and welcome to the stream. Got 5 minutes remaining in Q1 so far. Michaelo, Reese and C Davies the 1, 2, 3, and Nigel Piddle making a catastrophic mistake on their second push lap, crashing, and is out of qualifying. Although despite having the fastest time so far, Shadows on a second push lap, and along with them, Dynamo Dan looking for improvement too. We'll jump down to the other Haas, and Dynamo Dan and Jaffmaster, a friendly team for the Haas, and get along very well with each other, hoping to bounce off each other as much as they can for the evening. There's a yellow flag up around turn 13, could be Robin on their second run, and Dynamo Dan gets out of the drop zone, but only by 14 thousandths of a second, which is now occupied by the 2 Red Bulls and Shadows. I did mention Tier 2 is going to be a close qualifying. Well, this is the perfect example, as... oh, that's an interesting line there. Anyway, I won't mention too much on that, but Hirsch, I think, has a bit of a feud with the marker boards. Anyway, Shadows up towards the top of the hill, and around turn 13 up by, I make that 8 tenths of a second for the Aston Martin driver. I believe staying with the Aston Martin team, I'm sure, from season 5. Obviously, they wanted to extend his contract for another season. Now we're in the final 2 corners for Shadows, and the Aston up to the line, finished 3rd tier in the real life race. Looks to get a bit closer than that, goes 10th on a 29.8. This field is getting very, very close, at the same time ever so spread out. Michaelo, Reese 29.3, Phenom up to 3rd on a 29.4, and the top 10 covered by half a second. Jaffmaster just outside as well, but you're looking, I'd say, towards that 29.8 to guarantee safety. Dynamo Dan on their in-lap, Silverside Boy on their out-lap, Python on their what could be their final run in Q1, and they have to find minimal time, but they've got to find it some way or another, as down towards turn 1, we'll jump on board with the Red Bull, 2nd gear, short shift to 3rd, 4th, now 5th, going around turn 3, 2nd of 3 DRS zones on this track, well technically the first of 3 DRS zones, up towards turn 4 for the Red Bull. If I go too wide, you invalidate your lap, takes that very neatly there. And now the first split is a 28.8 for Python, up by a quarter of a second. Now 6 and 7, now down towards turn 8. Got to pick your braking point as best as you can. C Davies and General Jake retiring, both 5th and 6th, should be safe on a 29.5. Now Python towards turn 9. You've got to be so careful there not to go too wide, but also brake at the right time to get their launch out the corner. Now towards turn 11, we've got an Aston Martin further ahead, potentially, of Burkiman on their outlap, as Michaelo's retired from the session in the pits, as well as Phenom. All of these drivers in the top 6 should be safe. Raza Gamer, though, went for another outlap. Might not be feeling too comfortable there on a 29.6, but Python up by 6/10, and you can see why, because Python is actually matching Raza Gamer's time. If he nails the final few corners here, Shadow's retiring down in 10th. Shadows could be in trouble here if this track keeps ramping up, and these drivers can find the time needed, as the Red Bull of Silverside Boy going around the final corner. Python goes up to 3rd, and that puts Shadows very much in danger if that track keeps evolving. Silverside Boy now around the final corner, short run to the line with the dose of DRS. Silverside Boy up to the line, goes 9th and puts himself a little bit further away from the drop zone, but isn't safe just yet. Who's next to have a run? It's going to be Robin going around the final corner to start their final run. Jaffmas are going to be following Robin right behind them. Diamond on their outlap, Hirsch on their outlap. Brookieman is on their lap, up by a 2/10 going through that first sector, and currently the cut-off time is a 30.0 that is set by Diamond Duchy. Shadows might have actually accepted his fate here. He is not feeling safe, down in 12th, and as I mentioned, the track keeps going up. It could be knocking him out of qualifying, and that could be a massive, massive surprise in the opening round, as we've got yellow flag around turn 4. That looks like Silverside Boy keeping out the way of the cars on their flying lap, as Jaff Massa just goes by the Red Bull now. But Brookieman through the middle sector is up by half a second, and Shadows' fate could be sealed here if these cars keep progressing, keep getting faster. There's now got 2 corners left here for Brookieman on their return to lead racing. Can they get themselves into Q2? Around the final corner we go. Low on fuel, but high on hopes here for the Aston Martin. Now the final dash to the line, 28. It's a 29.5 for Brookieman. He's through. That now puts Shadows down in 13th. Diamond is now in the drop zone. Up by a 10th though is Diamond. Hirsch on their run. Dynamo Dan in their run. But the furthest ahead of these people, I am sure, is going to be Robin, as he's now going through turn 13. Jaff Master just behind them too. Robin on a purple middle sector, and Shadows is sitting there biting his nails, crossing his fingers, reciting the Bible, anything he can to give himself a chance, to give himself a little bit of luck to get through into Q2. But Robin up to the line for Robin, goes 4th on a 29.4. Next up to go over the line is going to be Jaff Master, goes 11th, and just about pips Silverside Boy. Squid is on a lap as well, unnoticed. Hirsch goes over the line and is only 17th, might even validate their last run. Diamond now in major trouble here, it's got to be at 29.8 to get through. Dynamo Dan just behind Diamond on track as well, squidding up to the final corner to guarantee safety, but doesn't go any faster. Squid could be in trouble as well here. If these drivers can beat a 29.7, Diamond can knock out Shadows, and Dynamo Dan can knock out Squid. Another huge shot. Diamond up to the line, goes 12th. Shadows is out of qualifying along with Hirsch. But it's going to be Dynamo Dan or Squid to enter the drop zone and get knocked out with the pair. Up to the line for Dynamo Dan, and he does it. He goes 3rd. Squid is knocked out. Shadows and Nigel Piddle fall in the opening session. Hirsch at the back of the pack, and those are names I did not expect. Squid down in 16th, Nigel Piddle down in 15th after that crash, and Shadows down in the back row, Hirsch down at the back as well. And Silverside Boy, catch your breath, and he's got himself through to Q2. Oh my goodness me. Well, Tier 2, I can't keep up with this. I can't keep up with the action every time Tier 2 delivers on the amount of chaos and confusion, almost. As I need another drink. Hey Colin, cheers for the Cocoms drink. I needed that. And I needed me to Marco as well, saying it. That's class action. Indeed, very, very eventful, and Tier 2 never fails to disappoint. Python pointing out as well, it's 2 tenths between the top 10. And I tell you what, he's no far off. 2.25 tenths. Actually, tell I, you could put 3 tenths between the top 12. And Monkey Boy Kurt as well pointing out 4 tenths between elimination and the fastest time, which I would say ironically was set by Nigel Piddle. But because of Piddle's earlier mistake, 4 drivers knocked out in Q1. That being Hirsch, Shadows, Stwid, and of course Nigel Piddle. Silverside Boy just making it through by 2/100ths of a second. And the top 6 by less than a tenth. Oh my. You know, this is like having a tombola or having a little fishbowl of names folded over. You just rummage around, pick out a name, and that's who you're going to predict for pole. You cannot separate this field by any more than a few hundredths between each driver. It's that close for Tier 2. And if that's what it's like for Q1, I can't wait for Q2 and for Q3. But of course, before we get there, another 4 drivers have to exit the qualifying session as we hopefully load into the lobby. There we go. Thank you, Codemasters. How generous. And of course, with 14 drivers in Q2, as I mentioned, 4 drivers will face elimination again in qualifying before our top 10 shootout. Oh man. And now, as I mentioned, we catch our breath and we just wait for whatever the drivers decide to do. As I see a Ferrari getting ready, a Red Bull getting ready. Yep, all of them are going out at the one time for a flying lap. That being C. Davies going through, and I believe, yep, Silverside Boy following suit. How kind, these two. Good acquaintances, I'd say, in the league. C. Davies and Silverside Boy having a lot of interaction last season when in the mid-pack. Sorry about that, lads. But still, it's good to see these partnerships, and I'm sure nothing will have changed too much, and I know Gary's probably saying a few choice words at me for my comments, but one of these times, Gary, you'll be on that top step of the podium. For all we know, it could be tonight. Who knows? Anyway, a lot of drivers out for Q2, and no surprise, actually to a bit of a surprise, there's quite a few drivers that have opted for soft compounds, probably an older set of softs, because I see Collateral Ads is still in the pits. Robin did have to do 2 runs in Q1, Michaelo on the 1 set of tyres, Dynamo Dan having to put in a second lap, Diamond putting in 2 laps, Silverside Boy on 2, Jaffmaster on 2 laps as well. Nigel, of course, same with the technicalities. It was technically a negative 2 tenths between the field. I mean, he's not wrong, is he? But a bit of an impatient McLaren there from Diamond, keeping up his run and tradition of being the first car out to set a flying lap. So, just for that, Diamond will actually go with Dynamo Dan for this run, because you jumped the queue. How rude. Bushman out in a set of medium tyres, then get that banker lap in as well. Python debating with that also. But, I'm going to hand over to Dynamo Dan, and you know what? We're going to completely rip off Sky Sports here, an F1 audio lap for the Haas as they cross the line now. Here we go. And there you have it. I know some people wouldn't have approved of the audio lap, as I can see people are considering that to be a way of me saying I don't want to talk anymore, but I need a drink. So that's why I use that as an excuse. And Michaelo, getting a very nice slipstream there from his teammate, goes fastest. Raza Gamer sacrificing his lap to help his own teammates. So very courteous there from Raza Gamer, but he's fallen down the order quite considerably. Will actually jump towards Brookieman in the Aston Martin. Will actually get lap data up, although it won't count for much. Brookieman goes 9th on a set of mediums, and last up for at least the opening laps in Q2 is going to be Reese in the Alpine. A 107.7 for Reese going towards the final sector of this lap. Pretty much just the one corner combined into two. And we'll jump forward with the Alpha, not the Alpha, the Alpine. A bit loose there on entry, drifted a little bit wide too. Would have cost him a tiny bit of time, wouldn't be too much though. It was up to the line for Reese, goes 4th on a 29.8. Reasonable there for Reese, but he knows he can go faster, I'm sure. Plaza lads on their run, and Python on a medium tyre run. That's going to be for a banker lap himself. As I think we'll just take a trip back to the pits, I think, with Diamond Douche and catch up with Twitch chat. Shadows is saying maybe I need calling on commentary. Well, that's it's no luck to you, and a drink. Thank you. Thank you for that, Shadows. I appreciate that. And saying that he was quick. I'll quit with that. I'm not going to say anything because it's going to be very, very bad. Fine, I'll just say it. If only you were quick enough in Q1. There you go. It's alright. As there you go. You're in the pit lane for a reason. You don't jump over with your driver on the so Shadow saying it's final to a Drownsy from last season. Well, that's a fair point. Drownsy winning from the, I believe it was 18th on the grid last season, and came through to win, albeit on the time penalties, because Diamond had a 5-second penalty after the race for a pit lane incident, if I'm correct. As I didn't expect that. Last year, lads, where have you found this pace from? 29.3 for the McLaren and goes top. And takes... Well, I suppose he's getting out of the way of someone, not sure who. But C Davies now on their second run, actually doing 2 push laps on these set of tyres. Not sure if that's a wise thing for C Davies to do, and is actually on an in lap, just going very, very quickly. Python setting their lap is actually in the top 10, and Silverside Boy again looking at the drop zone. That's not what he wants to be. Brookieman, C Davies and Razadem are currently the drivers in jeopardy. As well, with this weekend actually in real Formula 1 being the Hungarian Grand Prix, I know what some people's answers will be, but I'm going to throw this out to the Twitch chat. Who do you guys think is going to win the race? Max Verstappen. Cutting, or at least getting rid of any electrical problems or whatever the hell the car wants to throw up. But we know it's going to be Verstappen, but who's going to get second? And as well, Daniel Ricciardo. Nigel saying it's going to be Lance Stroll. Well, if he can, imagine Daniel Ricciardo beats Lance Stroll in his first race back. That would just compound it. Nigel Pedal saying, get lost with Daniel Ricciardo. He's over. Nigel Pedal with the can of worms there, or the hot take, saying that that Daniel Ricciardo his return's overhyped. It could be a bit overhyped, I'll say that, but I know he's going to be in that Red Bull car by the end of the year. His contract would have been announced, and Checo's been told to go. I know that. Python finding pace in his lap, and Shadow saying that Verstappen will win by 1 lap, Checo will be in a wall, and Ricciardo will finish 12th. Nigel saying that Ricciardo won't even beat Tsunoda. We'll see how it goes for Danny Rick. You know, would it be bad to say I hope George Russell wins? I genuinely, I hope George Russell wins around Hungary. You best not this, UK. I don't have a problem with Sonoda. I think he's decent. He's not how do I say it? He's not name up in fireworks good, but he does his job, and I think this season he's actually done quite well with the Alpha Tauri he's been given. It's not, but it's a shitbox. That car is a shitbox. But he's somehow hauling that thing to points, which is fair play to him. And this is what I like about Twitch engagements. We've got 5 minutes left in Q2, and we just take a little breather in the action before the frantic end to the session. And I see Shadows and Diamond exchanging the love again, like they did in Season 5. And here's to here's to another. As my voice breaks, lovely. Here's to another battle on track between the pair of them. And let's hope it keeps up for the remainder of the season, because I'm just saying this now that they two on track are probably the closest battle to watch. As Jake's making his application for Tier 1, the 29-1 for himself, and I see Nigel's trying to get a bit of the diamond love. I wouldn't say diamond love, a bit of the diamond acquaintance in the chat. Nigel as well saying that he'd be the quickest in this session with his Q1 time. If only he didn't crash. But yeah, Jake, as I said, making his application for Tier 1, 29-1 for the Alfa Romeo, as Collateral Ads looking to make a statement on their outlap as well. Going to try and go a little bit quicker. Silverside Boy not wasting any time, and actually a bit deprived of stream time. So here you go, Gary. Here's the full lap for what could be their make or break performance in Q2. In towards turn 1. Gentle on the throttle there, but up through the gears, takes that as tight as he could there through turn 2. So easy to be too greedy and invalidate. Now up towards turn 4, the first of the DRS zones, as a yellow flag up ahead. Collateral Ads setting himself up for his second run in Q2. Silverside Boy through the first sector up by 2/10, and he's got to keep finding time here. Potentially look, I'd say, towards a 29.5, which is set by Michaelo to guarantee safety, because the track evolution is so important as Raza has left the session. So I'll invite them back very quickly, and hopefully Silverside Boy won't be through the middle sector by then. Actually, you know what? I can just do it from the menu here if I'm able to. There we go. That should be that. And now just over with even a drink. I'll get to that after this lap. But Silverside Boy committed and knows he's got to be fully committed up by a half a second. He's finding time. If he finds another 2/10 here, he could have just enough in hand to get through into Q3. Got through into Q2 by 200ths of a second, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't mind that again, albeit it was a little bit tense in the Red Bull paddock. Not wanting both of their drivers knocked out in Q1. Hopefully that fate doesn't happen. And Silverside Boy goes a 29.4. That could be enough to get him through to Q3. The teammate Python now in the drop zone, and Phenom in trouble as well. Up by a 10.5 is the Mercedes driver, and I'm hoping Phenom does very well himself. Python going to go for his lap, just starting now. Actually, I think he's going through the final corner, getting ready to start his lap. And Shadows, interesting. I'm not going to repeat that comment, but Phenom, our season 4 champion, I believe, for Tier 2, losing the crown to Grounds 8 last season. Now he wants to reclaim that crown. He goes second in a 29.1. That time from Silverside Boy actually might not be enough. Because Phenom, that's a storming effort there from the Mercedes. Who else is on a run? C. Davies is just starting their lap. Python's actually to start through the first sector in their lap, up by 4/10. And I see here the Red Bulls are going to start playing a few team games here. Silverside Boy dives out the way there. Didn't expect Python to be right behind him as quick as he was. As where's Collateral Ads? I believe Ads is actually ahead on track. Going for a double warm-up lap? I'm not too sure. But regard, actually tell like that is Diamond on their outlap. Collateral Ads is on their flying lap going towards turn 9. But Python in the drop zone has to keep finding time. Potentially that 29.4, 29.5 is going to be the cut-off time. And Shadow said that Phenom found 7/10 in that middle sector, and that's evident. That is where you make or break your lap, is through those Phenom still up in second. I can't believe that lap time, but Python looking to try and better that lap time, up by half a second currently, is the Red Bull. Needs to find another tenth and a half going through this final corner, and that was very well took, to be fair, from Python up to the line. It's going to be a 29.5 for Python. He goes ahead of Michaelo, but is that enough for the Red Bull? I don't know. I don't think it is that, honestly. As Robin up by a tenth in the first sector, and this is where the lap is counted for. He's up by 4/10, and this will put him currently a net third, ahead of Collateral Ads. Jake is retired from the session. Phenom in the pits. Silverside Boy's retired in the pits. He's done everything he can do to get through to Q3, as clonking the curb there around the final corner was Robin. We've got 10 seconds left to the checkered flag. Robin goes fastest on a 29.0, and that is the AlphaTauri through into Q3. Who else is on a lap? Razadema starting their lap. Brookieman on their final run through the first sector, up by 2.5 tenths. Dynamo Dan on their lap. Jaffmaster on their lap, actually giving his teammate the slipstream, trying to get them both through into Q3. But we jump over towards Reese, up by half a second, currently setting a 29.3, which will put him ahead of Collateral Ads again. Phenom now down in third. Robin leading the way. Reese around the final corner, taking as much track as he can to get as much time as he can. He goes a 29.1, a purple sector 3, and he goes up to P3. Reese has got himself through into Q3. Collateral Ads is not going to improve in their lap, is going to stay 5th. Python now down in 7th. Michaelo's not going to improve and stays in 8th. Michaelo is in big trouble here. If these times keep getting faster, we'll jump down towards Jaffmaster around the final corner. The time to beat is a 29.7. He's got to find a 10th on the lap. Jaffmaster to the line. It's a 29.6 for Jaffmaster, and Dynamo Dan in the 29.4. Jaffmaster's knocked out as improvements behind. Who was that? I think it was Diamond, who goes on a 29.4. Brookieman on a 29.4 as well. Python living dangerously as there's 2 drivers left. C. Davies is down in the time, is not going to improve. It's Raza Gamer or Python, and it's Raza Gamer who's through. C. Davies is going to pen to the pits here. Silverside Boy as again squeaked through by the slimmest of margins. Python is going to take the drop with Michaelo, Jaffmaster giving his teammate the tow, getting one of the Hasses through. A very courteous thing there from Jaffmaster, to be fair. And C. Davies knocked out in Q2, with Robin now leading the way, and Michaelo, our P1 driver in Q1, down in 12th for the race. Oh my goodness me, this grid is like a lottery ticket. This is right place, right time, and who's got the luck on the day. And oh my goodness me, 7 tenths covering the field, and the top 10 of between P1 and the drop zone, again, half a second. So I not even half a second, 4 tenths of a second, again. So, I think we know the magic number, I think, which is 0.4. Not quite a lucky number, but if you Silverside Boy, it was 24 in the first session, thousandths of a second through into Q2, make that 46 to Silverside Boy. He's nearly doubled it. Silverside Boy, Brookieman, Dynamo Dan, the 2 McLarens of Diamond and Collateral Ads, Phenom, Reese, Jake, Raza, and Robin up in the top 10 and into Q3 for our pole position shootout, as Python, Michaelo, Jaff, and C. Davies set their strategies for the race. Twitch chat, good luck getting this one right. Who is going to get pole position for tonight's opening round in the Tier 2 Championship? Because if I choose one name, I can guarantee you they're going to be pole for like 2 seconds and then it's going to change instantly. Unfortunately, I can't quite do a poll for poll on Twitch mobile app unless I have some privilege, maybe? No, I don't think I do. Sad face. But just open question for the Twitch chat. Who will get poll? Good luck getting that one right. And for the virtual cookie, guess the time to the exact thousandth. We've yet to break into the 28s. That's all I'm going to say for Q3. So keep an eye out for a few 1 minute 28s in this session, because that could be enough to get through. As hold on, I've got a quick message here. As we might actually be having a Colcom's partner joining up for the Q3 session. As I believe Reese joking saying, does anyone remember when I predicted the exact pole time in Abu Dhabi, that being I believe last season in season 5, guessed it perfectly to a T, did Reese? And he's pretty sure Reese is hoping that he gets his name in pole position for tonight. As hopefully and he's going to try and do it. He's trying to duplicate it again. As Shadows is going to guess the pole time will be a 28.770, and Reese is saying the pole time will be a 28.5. We've yet to see even a high 28, let alone a mid 28. That's bold, I think, from Reese. You know, I'm going to guess pole time will be a 28.826. Nigel saying a 28.2. Did they have a rocket ship in the back of their car, Nigel, or Nitrous? Actually, no, Shadow saying that their time was they done that in a practice session. Oh well. Yep, Nigel taking it seriously. It's maybe a 28.6. Marshall saying a 29.001. Of course, someone had to say it. And Hound, good evening to you. I've not seen you in the chat yet. Jake for pole. Jake the change man, everyone. Actually on that outlap. Reese is yet to go for their run yet. But Diamond well out the way there for the Red Bull. Silverside boy, wait your turn, mate. As Dynamo Dan's actually be the first one. So we'll jump over towards the Haas and see what they can do. As hopefully we get the comms team sorted. Not too sure. Sorry, I'm getting a bit sidetracked by this, but we're going to follow Dynamo Dan for their first run in Q2. Well, not Q2. Well, the first run in Q2 was an audio lap, as I had to grab a drink. This lap, full focus now on the Haas. A 28.9, potentially an older set of tyres for the Haas driver. As around turn 80 goes. Relatively stable so far for Dynamo Dan, potentially the banker lap of the two runs, because I believe Dynamo Dan only has one set of tyres after their early scare in Q1 and their late gambit in Q2. As around he goes for turn 11. As yep, we're getting our comms team sorted. Should hopefully be here in just a few moments. As around turn 13 he goes. It's a 7.4 for Dynamo Dan. Now the final few corners, jumping on board with the Haas through the gears up to 8th and fully on the brakes just between the 150 metre board. 4th gear, a bit slidey on exit though. That would have cost them a tiny bit of time, and up to the line for the Haas. The time they're chasing is a 29.5. And to be fair, I expect that to get beaten very, very shortly as Brookieman up to the line. It's going to be a 29.8 for Brookieman. Definitely an older set of tyres. Reese just starting their lap. Next up over the line is going to be Collateral Ads. As around the final corner he goes, it's going to be a 29.1 for Collateral Ads. That is a fantastic effort for the McLaren driver, making his pick for pole position. Next up over the line, it's going to be Silverside Boy, and this is definitely an older set of tyres, I can tell from the middle sector split. Silverside Boy up to the line, it's a 130.1, definitely can go quicker. Diamond now up to the line for him, it's a 29.9 for Diamond, and time will need to be found. Jake on their lap, Reese on their lap, and Robin around the final corner, taking that very cautiously there. Trying to get the power down as quick as he can. 28, 29, 6. Actually, no, it's a 28.6 for Robin. Oh! As Silverside Boy has left the session. Oh dear. Right, and with that, I'll need 2 invites actually, because one will be for Silverside Boy, and the other will be for, I believe, making their debut in FPRL for the commentary team. It is going to be a tier 4 driver, if I'm not mistaken. As Here they are in the party. Be sure to include their audio, hopefully. And please welcome to the commentary box, Mr. S.F. Michaels.
Hello, good evening. Just thought you might needed some help, or I mean, you're doing perfectly fine by yourself anyway, if my humble opinion. But yeah, I was watching, thought, yeah, here I am. So midway through Q3, let's keep it going.
Oh my god, I've had a complete blunder. So I've got the Xbox headset microphone. I didn't pull it down towards my mouth before the start of the stream. I've had it up in the headset the whole time. I've been talking like faint for nearly 45 minutes in this stream. Oh my god.
You're doing perfectly fine.
Well, I must have raised my voice incredibly loud, but hopefully now it's a little bit more clear. Anyway, Michaels, welcome to the commentary box, and I believe you've had a bit of experience here before, but this is your first time in FPRL. But going off of the stream earlier, Steward, I know, Gary, I know. Don't compound it. I know. I'm an idiot. I switch off everything. Good night, guys. But anyway, Michaels, like I was saying, what have you made from qualifying so far? Certainly a few shops on the cards, as we'll actually follow Phenom for our lap. But yeah, there's a few names I didn't expect in this top 10, and a few names as well that have had to pay the price.
Yeah, well, obviously I'm very, very new to FPRL, as you say. I only joined like a week ago for the socials and got myself a drive, which I was surprised. Before I'd still be a reserve, but yeah. So I don't know, like in terms of like who's meant to go through, or like in terms of pace from like last season here. But what I'm gathering here already is it's very, very close. I mean, you mentioned it is half a second covering the top 10, and it was a 10th covering the top 5, and it's already close to the beginning of this Q3. Very, very competitive, and it just bodes really well for this evening.
Certainly does. Tier 2, very unpredictable, as we all know. And Phenom might be their sole run, actually, in the session. Everyone in the pits. And Mercedes having the full track to himself and is looking to get on the front row. As up towards turn 11, but that was very cautious there from Phenom, and this is actually going to be a double warm-up lap. But he's draining his battery, unless he's going to get back to the pits as fast as he can. Could be a sighter lap for Phenom as a... Oh. I'm not seeing things. That definitely said he was down in 10th. He's apparently set a 29.0.
Yeah, he's just jumped up to 4th.
Oh, well, Ah.
The stream's behind. Or something.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a stream delay, but... What? Huh? Sorry, I'm a bit confused by that. It's almost like turn 13 was the start-finish, was like the start-finish line. What? Yeah. Anyway, 3 minutes to go. We'll try and avoid that as best as we can, but... Yeah.
Maybe it's just a Q3 issue. Hopefully it fixes itself for the race.
Yeah, we'll need to keep an eye out on that, for sure.
Could be a desync on our end, possibly.
I certainly hope so. Just say as well, actually we have our poll for poll up in the Twitch chat, and Silverside Boy saying it's Python who is the lobby host, and Nigel saying the game says you're 2 seconds behind, but you're at turn 10. That's
right.
Right. As I said, we might need to hover over the reset button here. I don't know, but we're gonna finish off qualifying, and we'll take our results from the session. I think that's gonna be the fairest way possible if we go down that road. But take a quick moment while everyone exits the pits for their final time in qualifying for their outlaps and final push for pole. I've looked at our poll for pole in the chat making its return for the lead races, and we actually have a tie for pole. Jake and Robin picking up 3 votes each. Reese having the sole vote, voting for himself. Collateral Ads and Raza Gamer, unfortunately, have no votes. But if I were looking at Collateral Ads here, he can pull a surprise. You can certainly say that, but it has to find half a second to even have a chance at beating Robin, and Robin is going to start their lap. So Robin out very early as, oh no, apparently he's in sector 3 at 48 seconds. I mean, he's starting his lap now. Hopefully timing charts keep up. Actually, no, they're not. So, but don't, you know what, we don't have any lap data. Here we go. Right, lap data is just confusing. We'll strap it. We'll get rid of the data. This is like Hungary 09. No one knows what times are setting. We'll only know when they cross the line. Anyway, Robin on their final run here, up towards turn 4, and I think we need to keep an eye out for a few other drivers. Phenom, well, apparently on their outlap, even though they're going around, shall I just leaving them? Actually, Phenom won't get round in time. 1 minute and 6 seconds left. Phenom is not going to get round in time and will not set their final run. So 4th place is going to be the best that Mercedes can do. So currently the second row, but Robin, I know we didn't expect the 28.6, but could he go faster maybe? He gave it his all in that first run.
Yeah, I mean, track evolution coming along. I'm just on board a Silver side, who's currently 10th on a 30.1. He's just coming to the last corner now, and he's half a second up. So he should be into the 29s, possibly top 5. He's about to cross the line now.
And that's a courteous slipstream there from the McLaren. Silverside Boy goes 8th on a 29.8. And now, through those collateral lads, that was Diamond giving him the tow. So Silverside Boy timed that very nicely. We got Reese going to start their final run, and Brookieman, I think, giving him the full Audi treatment there. Look at that from the Aston Martin. As Silverside Boy's left the session again, he's struggling with his internet. As Brookieman and Reese are actually giving a bit of a showcase here towards turn 1 as we checkered flag is out. Robin has crossed the line but doesn't improve in the time. That's going to give Reese a chance here, but he's fighting with Brookieman and the lap is gone. So Reese will not catch him. Jake, now possibly the final one that can challenge Robin, unless Collateral Ads pulls the lap of the session out of the bag, but through he goes around turn 8 and he's still going for it as he actually... Nice. I think he's still on that lap. We'll leave him to it. I couldn't tell because of the throttle inputs. Not yet. Silverside Boy's console has shut off. So we might need to delay, as apparently Jake set his lap. If there's no improvement from Jake's lap, this could be a problem because... Yeah. I think the lobby is kaput, so to say. So, well, what do we do here? Because...
I mean, if the driver's timings are correct, like if there's no problem their end, and it's just a visual thing our end or a desync,
it could be a desync because Clash Lads improved up to 3rd. It might be desync on our end because the laps are updating before the drivers cross the line. Well, chaos and confusion must be said as Robin picks up a unique pole position. I think that's one way of putting it. But Reese 13 thousandths of a second behind. Collateral Ads up in 3rd in the end for the McLaren, with Jake on row 2. Raza and Phenom 5th and 6th. Brookieman, Dynamo Dan, Diamond Dushy and Silverside Boy round out the top 10. Jake's in the lobby currently, up in 4th, and has said that the lobby is okay for their end. It could be a timing delay. I don't know. But
I've never seen this before, not even on the old game.
Yeah,
any old game actually.
Nigel saying that Reese was nowhere near Brookieman for their lap. And I thought Brookieman was getting a tow from Reese. Harsh is saying the game's fine, it's fine. Would it be worth me leaving and rejoining to try and maybe straighten it out?
Could be best. Could be best, I would say.
Yeah, you know what, I'll do that. I'll quit and just join back off of you, Michaels. Thankfully you're here, so it means I've got an easy access back.
That's all right.
Yeah, do apologise for this, folks. Bit of an intermission, and boo, Butler, boo. As there we go, we'll try and join the game back. There we go. Hush is saying the game's fine. Jake's saying the game's fine. It could be
the
an
drivers
issue.
enter fine. The
Yeah,
drivers enter fine then.
If it's fine for the drivers, I think we're greenlit for the lobby, but don't start before the lobby host, which in this case would be Python. Right, we're in the lobby. Thankful of. I hope they don't. I'm in spectator mode, and I'm not going to join the grid. I should be.
That'd be something else.
Well, it's actually happened a few times. Oh goodness me. I'm hoping it's going to take it from what it was before, that I was actually on spectator, and I'm not going to be planted in a car. I should be okay, because I'm
Did it
actually
give you the option to spectate as you joined?
No, something I don't remember. I just joined up instantly. What's going on? hopefully Cruise the Ghost Car isn't a thing. Otherwise, this opening lap of the season is going to be shocking.
Situations I've been in before, it's just so good. I have done commentary before. I've done commentary by myself before. Hence why I was like, I saw you, and as I said, you're doing perfectly fine. Like you were going there, but I know what it's like. You know, commentating by yourself. It's difficult, like, to keep up with absolutely everything, especially when everyone wants to see, like, everyone's race best as possible. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, moving forward, Robin on the pole. Very, very nice for him, just ahead of Reese. It was half 10th in the end, so still expecting pretty much anybody, you would say, in the top 10, but this week cruise, obviously we've had a lot of people like qualify outside the top 10, but that still make their way through, because Bahrain has been like that recently in the last few years. You can qualify outside the top 10 and still have a good result. You can still win from like 11th or 12th. We've seen already this week, so don't count anybody outside the top 10 just yet.
So listen, I mean, you can't count anyone out. This tier 2 field is monumentally close. Just now I think we're waiting for the countdown, or to go into, or at least go onto the formation lap for the field. But I will mention as well is that we've seen a lot of split strategies in the field. I mean, I myself started on a soft compound tyres. For tier 3, we've had a majority from mediums, I'm sure, throughout the 2 races so far this week. But a few drivers have lucked out on the hards, and have just went long in the race. New tyres in this game are so powerful. Must be said. And just as well with the tyre advantage around this track, especially that middle sector, you will be gaining a ton of time. But it's just, as I said, luck on the day, and if everything's timed perfectly, because all it takes is one safety car, one crash, one tap round basically, and the whole race is transformed. But as well with tier 2, expect a lot of chaos in the opening exchanges. Everyone's going to be jockeying a lot for position.
Race time prediction?
Reese, you're pushing it now, mate. You are pushing it a little bit.
47.50, 43. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, Reese. If that is actually the finish time, I mean, what can we give out for that? That's got to be a certain price if he gets that on the nose.
We can use that code for the vault. See if that works.
All right.
Anyway,
here we go.
Yeah, here's hoping. This is a race for the vault and a classic in FPRL, as Robin leading them down towards turn 1 on the formation lap, and that is at least a 50-50 split. There's
no one on the soft tyres.
Yeah, no one on the softs, obviously not wanting to chance it, but there's a lot of hard compound tyre runners in that midfield, so there's going to be a few eyes on them as we start from the back of the pack. I'll run up through the P10 and then take us from there.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Anyway, Hirsch and Shadows, 2 shock eliminations in Q1 at the back of the pack on medium tyres. Then we have Squid In the Alfa Romeo, their teammate Jake further up the field, but both of them on the same approach on the medium tyres. Nigel, the first of the drivers to go on the hards, down in 15th after that earlier elimination and mistake. C. Davies on a set of mediums, surrounded by a lot of hard compound tyre runners, down in 14th for Ferrari. Jaffmaster on a set of hards. In front of them is Michelo and Python, both of them echoing the Haas on the hards. Python respectable up in P11, and now over to Michaels and for the top 10.
Thank you very much. And we begin with, in 10th place, is Silverside Boy on the medium tyres in the Red Bull. And then we have a quadruple on the hard tyres. We have Diamond in the McLaren in 9th, Dynamo Dan in the Haas in 8th, Brookeman in the Aston Martin in 7th, and Phenom in 6th on the Mercedes, all those on the hard tyres. The trio medium tyres, Razagamer in the Williams in 5th, General Jake in the Alfa Romeo in 4th place, and then Collateral adds 94 also on the mediums in the McLaren. And in the top 2, very interestingly, Reese, who is on the front row, decided to go for hard tyres, surrounded by those behind him on the mediums. He'll be looking to try and keep as many positions as he can. He's in the Alpine in 2nd, and our pole position, Robin in the Alpha Tauri on the medium tyres, want to gain a bit of a gap at the beginning. And the front 10, the 10 that I basically called out, have made the grids. 11th place Python has held everyone else up, so that could be quite interesting, especially the front 2 especially, going to have cold tyres.
Yeah, this is going to be an entertaining start to this race. I think obviously the top 2 influencing each other's strategies. I'm sure both of them trying to bounce off each other, or at least mirror each other as best as they can, but the goals are clear for them. Robin, run away at the front. Reese, hold him up or stick with him as the field readies itself for 29 laps into a new chapter of FPRL Season 6. And could it be a new winner in the league, or will Reese make his stance in a title fight that's going to go down to the wire in 20 races time? But it's all about the opening round. The curtains open, the lights go out, and the race is on in Bahrain. Robin and Reese level pegging, but Robin is the better second phase in towards turn 1. Collateral adds level pegging with Robin. He's got by Reese in towards turn 1. Robin and Collateral adds down the inside with 3 wide here. Level pegging, Robin just about holds the lead. Collateral adds in second, but Reese has lost out from the start. Not what he needed starting on the hards, but still wheel to wheel here with Collateral adds, but Reese knows better. He filters in and further back with 2x2 further back. Brookeman sending it down the inside of Phenom. Level pegging still, and Phenom just about loses out to Brookeman, who holds 6th. But Reese lost 1 place, and I think is lucky so far. He's not lost any more.
Yeah, a bit of a kerfuffle at the back as well. Unfortunately, there's damage for Silverside Boy on his front wing. There was a bit of debris. I was trying to find it. It was on the Red Bull driver, and he's dropping through the field. He's going to have a long evening ahead of him, as there's a Mercedes going wide also in that double left-hander. The frantic start at the back.
Yeah, hectic everywhere in Silverside Boy. I think the worst in that, of course, with that front wing damage, now down in 15th place and might have to box and go for the Hail Mary approach to the end on the hard compound tyres. But as well, we've seen here Jake actually not having any timing, but he's still behind Razagamer in 4th, and further back Nigel Piddle actually. Have a look at this feud here between him and Michelo. Nigel Piddle making a storming start here, already up to the fringes of the points, and that's what he needed after starting down in 15th. But up at the front, it's the start that Robin needed, but he's not pulling away quickly here, and he's not going down quietly. Collateral adds 2 tenths at the front between the Alpha Tauri and the McLaren. Collateral adds looking down the inside towards turn 1. Still a bit too early in the day. As further back, Diamond 3 wide for Python and Brookeman. Still 3 wide. Python's not the pair of them, but Diamond looking keeping around the outside here. But Phenom now interjecting himself. We're 4 wide in towards turn 2. Who's going to get the advantage here? It's Python just about, but further up at the front. Well, we're distracted by that. Collateral adds takes the lead ahead of Robin. He got the run out of turn 4, and Collateral adds in the McLaren finally has the lead. I say finally has the lead. It's the first time he's been leading a race in many a session, but this is now unfamiliar territory for Collateral adds. Robin has been familiar with this in tier 4, but up 2 tiers. It's the whole new kettle of fish. And Reese right behind him as well. He's still with him off the start, as I think we've got a bit of a timing bug, but I can assure you Jake is still in 5th, and Python starting to getting a little bit detached here from this feud up at the front. The top 5 starting to break away, and Python forming his own little train here behind that Red Bull, but Brookieman, Diamond, Phenom and Dynamo Dan round out the top 10 with Nigel Piddle right behind the Haas.
Yeah, good move from Ads up into turn 4. Clean move as well between the two drivers, and don't know, already half a second gap or more. There's a yellow flag in the back. I think it was Hirsch going off a little bit wide, but allowing the Aston and Shadows to go through. I think the timings will sort themselves out if they cross the start finish straight, and they do. Thank goodness there's Raza in 4th, looking at the back of the front 3. Hopefully this will settle down, but it's entertaining so far.
Yeah, we're struggling to keep up here. We're 4 wide at one point. We got moved for the lead, and Clash Adds has a 1 second lead over Robin, and we're just following this fight here for 6th place. Python, Brookieman and Diamond, the lead 3 in this horde almost. Not even a quartet, it's just a pack of cars behind that Red Bull struggling to get past. But as well, we've got to keep an eye on here, this fight for 5th. Jake and Raza Gamer. Jake 1.8 ahead of the Red Bull, as Python's got his sights firmly set behind him, it must be said, on that Aston Martin. It's in towards turn 10, careful on the braking zone there, and everyone filters through quite nicely actually. But Clash Adds, he's pulled that 1 second gap, but he's not quite breaking the DRS here. Robin is fighting back as Dynamo Dan going around the outside of Nigel Piddle, trying to defend against the Mercedes, still level pegging. Now it's Nigel's turn around the outside and towards turn 11 and turn 12. He goes a bit wide there on the marbles, and Dynamo Dan holds off the threat of the Mercedes, who is on a charge so far and looking to get into the points.
I don't know whether you've got it on your screen as well, but I've got Dynamo Dan on 2% ERS. And Pickle as well, also on 6% ERS. I don't know if that's the same with you, whether that's genuine, but if that is, they've gone very aggressive on the first, 3 laps.
And I think they can be punished here, because with no battery to defend, Squid has got a double on the pair of them in towards turn 1. The Alfa Romeo is dropped by Nigel first, and now Dynamo Dan second, and now Squid's now up into the points, but Phenom now is got, I say, a perfect front row seat here between Diamond and Brookieman. Brookieman has to concede there, and Diamond's now up into 7th. No movement in the top 5, but everyone's jockeying here for 6th downwards. Python doing very well to hold off here, the threat behind him, but 3 seconds now behind that top 5. Python is starting to make this a bit of a how do you say, it's almost like 2 races here between the fight for 5th and this fight for 6th place downwards.
It's 6th down to 13th. It's absolute chaos with this train here. But you're saying it's a train, actually. Maybe he's going to keep pace on those hard tyres. Highest on the hardest moment is Reese Cruz, who is keeping up with the top 2. In fact, I would almost say that Robin is kind of holding him back from catching the McLaren. He's got an over a second lead now, out of DRS, getting a gap away. Yeah, Reese is doing well in those hard tyres.
He's doing what he has to do, and as well in Zandvoort, in the social races, Reese managed soft compound tyres, a total, I believe, 14 laps. So Reese can manage his tyres if he needs to, but I don't think there's any need for that. He is going for it. In towards turn 1, Reese is not quite close enough, as now it's Diamond level pegging with Python. In towards turn 1, Diamond mismatch. He's now up into 6th place, but he's got to defend against the double DRSs further back. We've had a bit of a collision here, potentially between Squid and Phenom, both of them separated by almost nothing. Nigel Piddle now looking to get involved in this fight, but it's now Squid against the Mercedes and Phenom in towards turn 4. Python and Diamond now jockeying as well, but Diamond still level pegging, and Python responds back. Python's not giving up easily here, but now it's Phenom and Squid. Squid's made a mistake now, and there goes Nigel Piddle. He's not on the curb now, he's just about ahead as he's still level pegging here. Nigel, Squid, and now it's Draftmaster getting involved in this fight. Still wheel to wheel towards turn 10. Nigel around the outside. He's just braking a little bit later here. I'm losing my voice trying to keep up. And it's now Nigel forced in the curb. Squid just about holds on.
Tier 3. Cruz needs a breath. Calm down a bit.
Oh my
Goodness me.
goodness. It's only lap 5.
That's great driving between the two of them, though. Absolutely beautiful. Going through turns 9 and 10 side by side with no contact whatsoever. But this midfield is crazy right now. Michaelo and Silverside Boy, by the way, pitted in all of that Silverside with damage, and I think Michaelo also damaged as well. But M2 hoping for safety car to bring them back into it. It's a long way to go. Lap 6 as this carried on.
Yeah, I think we'll try and avoid that fight. Actually, tell I know we won't. Diamond now around the outside. It was turn 1. We'll have the inside line for turn 2. But who's ready at the DRS here? It's going to be Python, is it? No, it's not. Both of them were level pegging into the braking zone, and now Reese has responded against Robin. He's dropped by the Alpha Tauri, and now Reese is up into where he started, that being second place. But now, on those hard compound tyres, he can run away. It's further back, there's been a collision. I think Python's drawn round. He has drawn round. It gets out of turn 4, and oh, Shadows just about avoids the rear of that Red Bull. That was way too close for comfort there. And Shadows just let out the heaviest sigh, I think, in his FPRL career. That was way too close. Oh, Python's done it again!
Pushing too hard on those tyres. Those tyres are still red hot after the spin and it's moving. I think he just stopped out of frustration. Now he's got going again.
Yeah, I think he had to catch his breath and let the tyres cool down, which is not what Python needed. And now down at the back of the pack, it's been a nightmare race so far for the Red Bull drivers. And so far, it's been plain sailing for Clash Lads. But Reese is now starting to level that gap. 1.3 as it's now Robin's turn to respond. We've got a front row view here. With actually, Reese has made a mistake somewhere. Reese doesn't have any battery here, and he's been completely obliterated by Robin, Raza, and General Jake. Reese, what's happened there with the Alpine? Did he go wide? Did he just not have any straight line speed? He's going to try and respond here against Jake, but he's not got the straight line speed.
I only just got caught the end of it. It's almost like, I don't know, he just maybe just went wide in the last corner. Again, though, we were seeing that the Dynamo down earlier with the ERS. You gotta save it. You gotta have someone in reserve. Obviously, use some off the first couple of laps, but he's obviously really burnt it and try and keep going. And
I think Squid made the pit stop, and Python has actually spun. Oh, Python! This has been the lap from hell for the Red Bull. I think this is going to be a limp back to the pits, and it's going to be a DNF for the Red Bull. He enters the pits and he's going to soldier on. You know, I respect that from Python, but he's going to need to hope for a miracle to catch up. Squid making the pit stop as well. Going to try and potentially stretch these hard compound tyres to the end of this race, and I wonder if that's to maybe pressure that fight, which has now been split now between Dynamo Dan in 9th, down to Hirsch in 14th, and it's now Diamond, Brookieman and Phenom starting to break away in their own little group. But Phenom now looking to make the move against Brookieman, get that running towards turn 1, and maybe look out for Diamond, who's actually starting to catch up to Reese. Reese is really struggling here to even stay within the DRS, and is actually not going to get the DRS. As now Squid might have influenced a few pit stops here. Jaffmaster is in the pits off of what was
Raza's going for a move on Robin into turn 4, lunging up from the inside. That goes wide on the exit, so Robin's going to go side by side through turn 5 and 6, give each other space. Oh, big drift on the Williams of Raza, gets the move stuck into P2.
Robin looking for the cut back there, but Raza cuts him off. Raza now up into second place. Jake now right behind the Alpha Tauri, and Reese's now fought back within that DRS window. But Diamond, that gap that was around 4.5 seconds is now 3.6 seconds. Diamond is giving it everything he can to catch up here. Bushyman, Phenom in 8th as well, still heckling that Aston Martin, but I think knows better. But Jaffmaster made his pit stop onto a set of medium tyres. He's pitted off of the hards. I wonder then if Jaffmaster had any wind damage from an earlier incident, because that's not a scheduled pit stop for the Haas. Meanwhile, Swid now right behind Silverside Boy at the back of the pack. But and I'm pretty sure we're going to see a few pit stops here. C. Davies, Shadows and Hirsch on a set of medium tyres, and Shadows actually right behind the Ferrari. We'll follow this fight for a little bit. In this fight for 11th place is further back, Swid gets ahead of Silver Side Boy up to 15, and now up for him it's going to be Michaelo, 4 seconds between them. And Shadows and C. Davies around 4/10 between them in towards turn 1, but Shadows' fuel light is actually starting to cause a little bit of concern, but he's full throttle in towards turn 1, down the inside of the Ferrari. But it's a little bit later, forces him wide, and now in towards turn 2, C. Davies fights back a little bit, not letting Shadows through easily. But now on the run towards turn 4, he's got the DRS, he has the ERS, and C. Davies has to fall back a little bit. Does he? He goes wide around turn 4, and that's now Shadows up into P11. 2 seconds now between himself and Nigel Peddle, who's now in the points after starting down in 15th. And actually, look at the positions graphic, I think it would be fair. As we see here, Raza up 3 places, Diamond up 3 places, Shadows up 6 places, and the biggest winner in this race so far. But the biggest loser is Python, down 7 places, and Silverside Boy also down 6 after that earlier pit stop. But Silverside Boy, I'm sure, is committed to going to the end of that race, at least to the end of the race, on that set of tyres. But he's got to do some, because I believe it was Ellisoff that managed nearly the full race on a set of hards that were screaming at him by the end of the race to change onto a new set. But somehow Ellisoff managed it and picked up what was 7th place. So it is possible to pick up points around here, but you've got to manage your tyres, but also keep up, and you can't do one without the other. Meanwhile, Reese has got that battery charged a little bit more now. In towards turn 1, he's caught up to the back of Jake, but Collateral Ads is now 1.7 seconds now ahead of Raza Gamer. The driver in second doesn't seem to be catching up as Python getting out of the way of any lap traffic, and I'd oblige him to get out of the way as quick as he can to avoid getting them. Oh no!
Oh, Robin, careful.
And it's a virtual safety car. Python getting lapped has took out Robin and is now down in 8th for the AlphaTauri.
That is not what you want to see. If you're a lap down, doesn't matter how a race you've had, you've got to stay out of the way of other drivers. And yeah, Robin, I wouldn't be surprised if he's absolutely raging in that virtual safety car, though. As Dynamo Niggle now.
That's not a penalty. Apparently, a severe collision with Nigel Peddle. Oh, goodness me.
Probably was a light touch, to be honest, with this game. But yeah, you got to keep the distance.
No,
dear.
if this virtual safety car stays out for long enough, expect a few pit stops.
All those on mediums, I would say pit for the hard tyres if this stays out, like the top 3 at the moment. Any advantage you can gain.
Even if it's marginal, though, like, just as they're about to go over the pit lane.
No, he's not going to go for it.
That's really unfortunate timing for Collateral Ad, so I'm pretty sure was considering boxing that lap, but he's on 11% battery. Raza is on 44. So Collateral Ads, to build that gap, has burnt more battery. This could be something for the future of this race. Meanwhile, Phenom, looking around the outside of Brookieman, he's been behind the Aston for a few laps now. Not close enough as Python has retired from the race. I think that collision was one too many for the Red Bull, and it's decided that they are done for the evening. Meanwhile, Diamond still ahead of Brookieman, and Phenom growing increasingly frustrated here behind the back of that Aston Martin. He wants to get the move done. He knows he can get the move done, but he just can't get it done when it matters. Phenom still down in 7th, and now Nigel starting to close up this fight now for what is now 5th place, as Robin's made this pit stop onto the hard compound tyres to the end, but now down at the back of the pack.
He had wing damage. I was just checking whether he did, and unfortunately he did have wing damage, so it's not completely out of him for points, but he should be a lot higher after that incident. Still a long way to go, lap 11. So anything can still happen. And Reese, despite falling back with that overuse of ERS, he's still in this race as well. He's keeping decent pace with the drivers in front of him. He's the highest of hard tyres by about 4 seconds to this other train of Diamond Dushi, Brookerman, and Phenom. So still looking good. We're migrating host.
Just
Oh,
Python
because
left.
Python was okay.
Well, Here's Hoping the Lottery has chosen a decent host for the lobby. Meanwhile, still, the gap at the front now, 1.4 seconds between Raza and Collateral Ads. He's starting to catch up. He's burnt a little bit more of that battery, has the Williams, but he's now starting to eat away at that gap between himself and the McLaren. Jake just starting to nestle in third. Reese as well, as you mentioned, on those hards, drifting it out of turn 4, just about held on. And now Jaffmaster setting the fastest lap of the race down at the back. Meanwhile, C. Davies and Sharrow's getting close for comfort, and I think C. Davies has got the move on the Aston Martin in towards turn 1. Now it's the Ferrari back up into 11th place, and now Reese, he's actually dropped back from DRS after that mistake. So Reese, I don't know if he's struggling with his tyres here, because he's just getting a little bit snappy at the exit of some of these corners, but he's got to, I think quickly get out of that habit if he wants to stick with this fight for second, because if he stays with that fight, they will catch up to Collateral Ads. But who blinks first at the front here for these pit stops? Does Collateral Ads box? Surely Collateral Ads will have to box first. As Silverside Boys retire from the race at turn 8,
That's
I think.
on track. That is on track as well, because the dot's still moving.
Fishdix is saying that Silverside Boy desynced from the lobby, so that is why they've retired from the race.
Oh, I see.
As a move ahead, Jake up in the second place. Jake has decided to make his move, and he's went too deep going towards turn 1. Does he get the power down? Just about gets the power down and stays ahead of Raza Gamer. Further back, Diamond and Brookieman are getting involved, and this is now Phenom's chance to get the move on that Aston Martin in towards turn 4. While Brookieman is fighting with Diamond. McLaren has no battery now. Brookieman down the outside of Diamond. Dushi Diamond trying to hold it around the outside of turn 4. Phenom looking for the cut back. He's not close enough though. And now it's again a similar story for Phenom. He's not getting the move done because the drivers ahead are fighting so aggressively. But Jake has got the move successfully done on Raza. It's now his turn to catch Collateral Ads, but it's now 1.9 seconds between himself and the McLaren. Collateral Ads just seems to pull the time out when it counts because the cars ahead and cars behind them are fighting.
Yeah, two Mercedes going side by side. Is it Nigel Piggle? I think
It will be Nigel, yes.
I think it's Nigel Piggle. Yes. Oh, and there's a...
Oh, Colin's Johnny spun!
I was just keeping an eye on that. He was fighting with Hirsch in the Alpine. I don't know whether there would have been contact or anything, but yeah, apologies, Silverside Boy, for that assumption he retired on the track, but that was a D thing. That is really, really unfortunate. So both Red Bulls had a very rough race.
Yeah, it's a race if you get for the Red Bulls, but Collateral Ads is first to blink up at the lead as Sharrows gets a 3-second penalty. So now it's General Jake who's the net leader of this race, but we'll need to see where Collateral Ads exits the pits. We'll have a look actually at the leader graphic, because Collateral Ads are net leader. What will be the time loss in the pits? And if he gets out ahead of C. Davies, that will be optimum for the McLaren. Further ahead, Diamond and Brookieman having a little round 2 here in this fight. Brookieman still behind Diamond, he's level pegging, but now Phenom getting boxed in by the pair of them. This is increasingly frustrating here, but both of them forced wide. Phenom looking for a cutback with 3 wide in the running towards turn 5, but Phenom again, he's got to sit behind almost. Oh, he just about avoids contact there, but now it's Dynamo Dan who's getting involved in this fight as well. It's now a 4-car melee, and Collateral Ads after that pit stop is now down in 10th place. He lost around 22 seconds in that pit stop, and he's got that window to see Davies, who could be a major buffer here if Raza and Jake don't respond. And Raza now takes the lead of the race. Jake now down in second, and Reese 1.2 seconds behind Raza. Actually, we'll look at our interval graphic. Reese is back within DRS, but that battery is looking very bleak here for the AlphaTauri. Not quite enough, as now Brookieman and Diamond again not close enough, but Phenom, he's gotta be almost battering that Wheatland frustration here. He just can't get by Brookieman. But now what will the top 2 do? Raza stays out, Jake does opposite. Jake has boxed from what was second place, and now we've got to look to see where they where they emerge in the field. As now Brookieman has boxed, he's went for the undercut against Diamond. Now Diamond up into a net third, Phenom now in a net fourth, and now it's Dynamo Dan right behind the Mercedes, who's burned everything to get by Brookieman. And now Brookieman is in the pits, but we'll see Clash of Lads now going down the main straight. Where is Jake? He's just about to leave the pits. There goes Clash of Lads. He gets by Jake, and on those warmer tyres, Jake is now just ahead of C. Davies. Raza might have stayed out a lap too long here. If C. Davies doesn't box this lap, Raza Damer could be in trouble of losing out to Jake and to the Ferrari as well, who has yet to make that pit stop in this race.
Yeah, Clatoads has got a very, very strong undercut. The undercut is very, very strong around Bahrain. So he will, once everyone has pitted, he will retain the lead, I reckon. But yeah, I agree with you. Raz is going to get jumped by General Jake as well. He'll still be near to Jake. Will be behind him once he pits, if he pits this lap, and I would probably suggest he should.
Yeah, we're just over the halfway point in this race. It's Raza Damer who's our net leader in the race by 0.6 of a second to Reese. Both of these drivers starting opposite to each other. Reese on the hard compound tyres, and our fight for what is currently third place between the McLaren of Diamond Duchy. Their teammate Clash Lads was leading this race before their pit stop. Phenom in fourth, as now both Reese and Raza have boxed. So Reese is going to think, I'm going to have fresh mediums here against fresh hards. The tyre warm-up's going to suit Reese here, as now further back Diamond making that pit stop too. So Phenom takes a net lead ahead of Dynamo Dan. Clash of Ads goes through to no one's surprise. But where is Jake in all this? He's going to go starting another lap. There is Raza Damer. Raza Damer's actually only just lost out to Jake, has he? Looking down the inside at turn 1. Jake has the better traction, but that was a lot closer there than what Jake would have wanted. But now Reese is going to be the wild card here. On those medium tyres, he can warm these tyres up faster and is now really got his sights set on the pair in front. But that gap that Collateral Ads has, 5.5 seconds between himself and Jake, where at one stage it was only 2 seconds.
Are you the person that is quietly gone about their business, and it's now all of a sudden with this lead group? And that's Nigel, who, where did he start? He started in 15th place, and he's now with this lead group of the same tyres as Reese, 2 laps older though. That might come back to haunt him a little bit towards the end of the race, but he's with this lead group. If he can stick with them, this could be a really good result for the Mercedes driver.
Of course, Nigel Piddle, as you mentioned, down in 15th is further back. Brookieman and Robin exchanging places, and the way goes the Aston Martin is further back. I think Swiddy spun at the exit of turn 11. Got to be careful rejoining, as there goes Jaff Master down in 12th, but away he goes as the top 2 have now boxed. So Collateral Ads will retake the lead of the race on lap 17. 13 laps to go in Bahrain. It's going to be Jake in second, Raza in third, and Reese now running up in fourth. Nigel Piddle starting down in 15th, up 10 places to what is currently fifth, looking to make it fourth place. Down the inside at turn 1, not quite close enough, has backed off, and C. Davies now up in sixth, but he has not made his pit stop yet and is the only one yet to box this race. C. Davies gambling on that safety car without a doubt. Bushyman in 7th, Robin after that collision with Python down in 8th, Diamond and Phenom now the top 10 with 2 Hasses 6.5 seconds behind them, and in their own little private squabble here with obviously the 2 Hasses, Squid, Shadows and Hirsch down at the back of the pack, and Michaelo making another pit stop in this race to go to the end. Oh man, 13 laps to go, and that gap at the front, Jake has reined in a second to Collateral Ads. Ads could be getting a little bit too... what's the word I'm looking for here? He's getting a little bit too laid back in the lead of this race currently, and Jake has the more battery of the two. Jake could potentially win the race here, not just for himself, but for any of the 3 drivers behind him.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention the batteries. I mean, you got Reese and Nigel both on less than 10%, or it's around hovering about 10%. As soon as they use it, goes under. So in terms of position, as Raz is going to go for a move actually on Jake into turn 1, with the DRS and a bit of DRS usage as well. Goes into turn 1 into second place. The thing they've got to be slightly aware of, crews, here is if they keep on fighting, Collateral Ads is just not going to use his DRS because he's low himself and will start building it back up. They've got to be aware that McLaren is still 4 seconds up the road.
Yeah, he's got... Everyone's got to be mindful of their surroundings, honestly. But Raza Gamer actually making that overtake has caught up a little bit to Collateral Ads and is actually really starting to make inroads here. 4 seconds between now the Williams and the McLaren. And if Raza, Jake and Reese can, and Nigel as well for that matter actually, bit of a silent warrior in this race is Nigel Piddle. If these 4 can work together and get on the same page, they can just rubber band each other back up to that battle for the lead. But Brookieman, 7 seconds behind that fight for second place, has his own war almost with Diamond. These two haven't been separated throughout most of this race. Robin on a recovery drive, but Python, sorry, not Python, excuse me, Phenom, I'm getting the two mixed up throughout the whole race. Phenom around the outside at turn 11, now the inside for turn 12. Phenom now up in 8th and on their recovery drive of their own. And I should say as well, I mentioned Python because that's how our poleman Robin is down in that position, down in 9th through, I'd say, through no fault of his own and not through his own doing. Meanwhile, Jake just gonna sit behind Raza a little bit and towards turn 1, know where his race is for the moment. And he's got 11 laps left to make his move, but so far Reese is going to make his move, is he? No, he's not. Reese is going to sit behind Nigel, peeling out there, I think, to pick out his braking point. But now that gap, Razas took out nearly 3/10 in that first sector, but it's just starting to open up a little bit here. Collateral Adds on 13% battery, 1-3. Raza now on 25%, Jake on 50%, Reese on 16, Nigel on 10. So if I were Jake here, I would consider either pulling the trigger or you're going to be the one here to lead this train to Collateral Adds. And we can see there 3.7 seconds with 10 laps, well, not quite 10 laps to go, 10 laps to go after this lap. And this race is anywhere but over.
Yeah, the issue for Ads is in order to get a flag with a little half spin, I think, towards the back. The problem for Ads is as you said, the gap is closing. It's about 3 or 4 tenths per lap, give or take. Whether Ads is managing it or he doesn't have any more extra pace left, if these 4 captain, he's going to have nothing left that battery. It's less than 10%, it's 6% at the moment. I find it best just to manage it, but if they catch him, he's got nothing.
We all know Clash Lads won't save his battery. He never does he? He just dumps it all in the one go. Is with further back in 15th, gets a time penalty for track limits. Not quite the 5 seconds, is now further back. Brookieman and Diamond again starting the fight. Oh, and look who's joined the party again. It's Phenom, hating the sight of an Aston and the McLaren, but now Phenom looking to get the pair of them in towards turn 4. Down the inside goes Phenom, looking for the double, and is he going to get a double? He's got by Brookieman, forces Diamond a bit wider, but Diamond just about holds his own there against the Mercedes, but Brookieman, he's finally been dispatched by Phenom and has now got his sights set on that McLaren and potentially start making major inroads here to his teammate Nigel Piddle. But this fighting now for 6th place, 8.5 seconds between Diamond and Nigel, so I think maybe this fight for 6th place is going to be all that these drivers get in this, what has been, I'd say, the pick of the battles in this race.
9 laps to go. And the gap at the front is about 3.5 seconds. It's actually the first lap where Raza actually hasn't caught Collateral Ads in terms of the time. Although I say that, it's just gained about a couple of tenths in that last corner alone. So it's still not over. The laps are ticking away. 8 laps to go. Ads managing it at the moment. I know these guys behind Raz are going to think one of us needs to lead this pack.
It's now 3.2 seconds. Raza, now 3.3. We've got 9 laps to go in 3.5 seconds. I make that around 4/10 a lap if Raza wants to catch collateral ads, and he will get within DRS at that rate with 2 laps to go. So Raza Gamer knows his target, Jake knows his goal, and he's just electing right now to sit behind Raza Gamer because he is catching collateral ads, but Raza Gamer as well, he's having to drain his battery to catch collateral ads. Jake could be playing a bit of chess here, not using his battery, just sitting behind Raza Gamer. And if collateral ads and Raza Gamer don't use their, or keep using the battery the way they are, Jake could be waiting to pounce at the end of this race. Meanwhile, Reese 27%, Nigel on 24%. Everyone behind Raza Gamer is starting to charge their battery, but Raza is making inroads to collateral ads. This race, this is like 4D racing here from these guys. Everyone trying to outsmart each other, but Raza, all he's got to do is just full throttle, collateral ads. He's got to manage his battery here. Otherwise, 8 laps to go, and that gap, 2.5 seconds. Raza Gamer has took out nearly a second on this lap alone. Collateral ads, he's got to start looking behind him in just a few laps' time.
Yeah, just looking at the lap times recently, 35, 32, 8. Yeah, so that last lap collateral adds to the 33.5, which was 0.8 slower than Raza. You can't have too many of those rough laps because otherwise they're going to be on him.
Absolutely, and Phenom has finally dispatched Diamond and Brookieman. He's now clear of the McLaren in towards turn 4. Phenom now up to 6th place, and Mercedes as well on a bit of a recovery drive for this race. P5 and P6 currently. Decent haul of points for them. And now that gap 2.3 seconds. Raza Gamer gaining a 10th currently on this lap. But collateral ads must have made a mistake on the last lap, surely, if he's lost 8/10 to Raza Gamer. But Jake, now 60% battery. Reese 35. Nigel's actually had to drop his battery back down to 6% just to keep up with Reese. Nigel's tyres could be starting to go off a little bit as we approach lap 23 of 29. 7 laps remaining, and that gap only went down by a couple of tenths this lap. It's now going to be 2 seconds over the line. Raza has took out another half a second on collateral ads, who's really starting to struggle here and could fall back into the clutches of that Williams. He's gained 8/10, now 4/10, and he's now 2 seconds away, 1.1 seconds away from getting that DRS, which will make this race all the more eventful with just a handful of laps remaining. Jake still not using that battery, and he's just happy to sit behind the Williams and wait for that time to arrive, shall we say. It's like waiting for the train. This is my stop, says General Jake, as Brookieman, it's a 3-second penalty. That won't hinder him too much though. He's got a 4-second gap to Robin, but the closest fight outside of the top 5 is Phenom and Diamond. Diamond on 1 lap older tyres than Phenom, and Phenom, he's just not quite gaining as quickly as he could to the fight, that fight for what could be for the lead here. 8.8 seconds between Phenom and Nigel, and that could be all she wrote for Phenom's recovery drive. Further back, Dynamo Dan holding on to the points. Shadows on a time penalty. Hirsch, Michaelo and Jaffmaster, 15 lap old mediums for Jaffmaster. I give him credit for trying to stretch these tyres, but I think it's going to be a formality at some point for the Haas to make another pit stop. But Raza now 1.6 seconds behind collateral ads, 1.5 seconds at one point, it just ticked over. Raza another half a second on this lap. If he keeps this up, 5 laps to go, he will get that DRS as we got 6 laps left as we cross the line. Raza breaking that slipstream very early to Jake, who's still not using that battery. Jake is just he's almost, what was it, something hunter analogy for Jake. He's just waiting for that perfect time, and I think that perfect time would be lap 28, honestly. Jake, just using that battery when he needs to, and right now is not that time.
Squid in the chat, I would calm down a little bit before you say anything else. Moving on from there. 1.7 seconds now, and it's still hovering at the RS 10%. As you say, Jake is just there. if you're in this situation and you're in a lead pack and your ERS is way above everybody else's, it's just waiting for the opportune moment. Well, when does he pull the trigger? He's got to pull the trigger at the right time, because if he burns too much, the others can then counter-attack on there. He's using a little bit out of that hairpin because he made a little bit of a mistake. But they're still hovering. They're hovering, just waiting, and the lap's ticking down, five to go.
But importantly for Collateral Ads, he's put that gap up to 2 seconds. I think if you're Jake here, this has to be the time, because Raza is starting to struggle here. But at least on this lap, he's lost time to Collateral Ads, and that could be because their battery levels are now matching the top two. And they usually say you can only win a race if you're in first or second, but I think if you're Jake here, you're in prime position to win down in third, and 2.2 seconds behind. Raza again trying to break the slipstream here. He's now more mindful of that Alfa Romeo behind. In towards turn 1, Jake, this is going to be his chance here. In towards turn 1, he forces Raza that little bit deeper. He's trying to brake a little bit sooner to get the DRS, and that he's going to. He needs to get the exit out of turn 2 and turn 3 to have that chance. Now he's using that battery. Now is his chance. And now it's his time to say thank you, Raza. You've played your part. Now it's time for me to take centre stage and hunt down Collateral Ads. But he's gone wide out of turn 4. This is now Raza's chance to respond. But Raza filters back. This is now Jake in centre stage. And he's now in second place.
Eagle also nicked by Reese at the same corner. So Eagle's trying to make his move. Now up to 4th place. Remember, this guy's only 15th. Mingling it for potential podium, although his battery's down, so he's gonna...
Oh, Raza's gone wide! He's gone wide at turn 10. This is now Nigel's chance to catch up, but he's got oversteer. He snapped! Almost took out Reese, who'd just seen his old race flash before his eyes. But Reese now back up into 4th, and Raza really starting to struggle here. But Jake, 2 seconds now, teetering 2 seconds between himself and Collateral Ads. As they cross the line, it's going to be 4 laps left to go. Jake is now 1.7 now. It's going to be so close here for the end of this race.
There were all that kerfuffles going on. It gave Collateral Ads just about half a lap breather. Is that half a lap going to be enough? Because Jake's now burning with the RS to try and catch up to Collateral Ads. Is he going to have enough left by the time he catches him to even mount an attack on him? As Ads has now got no ERS left, basically.
Still on 5%, and there you see in the background, that's the pack of cars that are hunting down the McLaren, who's been leading nearly for the whole duration of the race. From lap 2, he took the lead of the race, he built that gap, and he's only lost the lead through pit stops when he had to obviously make that pit stop to cover off Jake, and that gap on lap 16 was 5.5 seconds between Collateral Ads and General Jake, and despite all this fighting, in second and third, it's now 1.2 seconds. General Jake giving it absolutely everything he can here to hunt down his former team and take victory away from Collateral Ads, who to be fair hasn't put a foot wrong this whole race, and he's now, with 3.5 laps left to go, 1.2 seconds between a 5-car battle for the win in Bahrain.
Wrap yourselves in, everyone. Last 3 laps is going to be interesting. Any of these 5 could potentially win this race. I would say that Jake is probably in the strongest position at the moment, but as a famous commentator once said, it's all good catching someone, you got to overtake them.
Absolutely, the great Murray Walker, everyone. But now around the final corner, Jake 1.2 seconds behind, and he's done 24% battery. Collateral Ads is on almost nothing. He's draining everything he can out of that car. If he could, he'd probably just strip the fuel out and just go for what he has left. Collateral Ads giving it almost everything he's got here, with 3 laps left to go, and Jake 1.2 behind still. This is buying Collateral Ads a little bit more breathing room here, but now it's all starting to kick off behind them. Reese and Raza Gamer now we wanted to exchange places, but Reese filters in back and forth. Razadame still in 3rd, and shockingly these two are actually on the freshest set of tyres. 11 lap hold hards for Raza, and Reese on 11 lap hold mediums. And I mentioned prior in this race, Reese's tyre management is something to watch, and he's currently getting the best out of these tyres so far, and it's still 1.2. Jake, he's holding on to that battery, but sometimes he's just got to go for it. And this has been a problem with Jake. He doesn't know when to pull the trigger until it's too late. And by that time, he's missed his shot.
Yeah, he's got to do it. going to do it now. He's got to get in DRS, like, by the end of this lap or next lap minimum. Because then you've got to have a whole lap just to sort of try and manage his way through. Is Ads going to manage this race absolutely
It's teetering
perfectly?
1.1 Reese wide further back. That might give Nigel the run on him, but it's 1.0. It's under a second, is it? Oh, he's just missed it by 3 thousandths. He's got to go
He
for it
got
down
it.
this main straight here.
He got it.
Oh, he just got it to Jake. This is now potentially a 5-car fight with 2 laps left to go, but Jake, he's not going to get a DRS in towards turn 1, is he? He's not to break that bit later, and he's just ticked back in, but now Nigel's going to send it on Reese. He's not quite close enough though, but this is now going to escalate and potentially explode with 2 laps left to go. Collateral Ads now 0.8 of a second ahead of General Jake, who's the chase has been complete, but now he's got to hunt down Collateral Ads and get the overtake done with just 2 laps remaining. Raza, Reese and Nigel still in contention. Further back, Phenom, having dropped Diamond, is now 10.5 seconds behind his teammate, and a bit of no man's land, honestly. But still, the main attraction is this fight now for the lead. A 5-car battle between 5 different constructors. Oh my goodness me, Tier 2. Thank you very much. If this is what it's like for the remainder of the season, I am all for it. But now Collateral Ads, he's now panicking, he's now weaving, trying to break that slipstream in towards turn 11, a rare overtake in place, but Jake now half a second behind, Raza now behind looking to pounce, Reese and Nigel, none of these drivers have above 20% battery, and that could haunt Jake here. Now around turn 12, for the second to last time, it's now 6 tenths, and now this time, Jake will have the battery run in towards turn 1. But he's there by the detection point, and now it's Raza right behind him. Now it's Raza's turn to return the favour as around the final corner we go, and we start the final lap in Bahrain. Collateral Ads already breaking the toe in towards down the main street towards turn 1. Collateral Ads, Jake now weaving, trying to break the toe to Raza Damer. Down we go in towards turn 1 for the final time. Raza Damer still looking for a move on Jake. Jake is not the closest he's been to Collateral Ads in this race. Does he get the launch out of turn 2? He doesn't quite do it. He short shifts, and that's going to cost him time. This is now Razadamer's chance to get by in towards turn 4. He's not quite close enough either, is he? Unless he sends it in towards turn 4. He taps the back of the Alfa Romeo, but it's not close enough for him. And now the top 3 starting to break apart as Reese and Nigel start their own fight. Collateral Ads just about holding on here, and he's hanging on here by his fingernails. Anything he can to find grip on this track. Now for the final time in towards turn 10, 4 tenths, covering Collateral Ads, Jake and Razadamer. Now the most important part of the lap, the braking zone. Jake, he goes a bit wide though, he slides it in towards turn 10, desperate to close up to Collateral Ads, who breaks the toe in towards turn 11. Collateral Ads, he's just about got enough in hand, has he? He does. C. Davies further back, getting a 3-second time penalty, going for that fastest lap, and a bit of a pride point almost for the Ferrari. But up at the front though, it's been hectic at the start. It's been a pursuit for Jake. He looks for the move in towards turn 13. He's not close enough. Is he going to send it in that final corner? Jake's fuel light is flashing. Collateral Ads weaving, trying to break that slipstream in towards the final corner he goes. And it's going to be Collateral Ads who rounds the final corner. It was a 4-car hunt for Collateral Ads. The bounty was on him, but he fends off the attackers. Collateral Ads wins in Bahrain by the closest of margins. General Jake takes second place. The hunt wasn't quite enough for the General. Raza Gamer takes third and completes the podium places. Reese takes fourth, Nigel in fifth. Phenom a distant sixth. Diamond, Brookieman, is he going to hold on to 8th place? No, he's not. Dynamo Dan just about steals 8th place from Brookieman. And Robin takes the final point down in 10th. But goodness me, Collateral Ads, that was a bit too close for comfort there, mate.
1.4 seconds covering the top, well, 1.7 covering the top 5. 5 different cars. That was a hectic end. But in the end, I think, to be honest, Cruz, that sort of lunge from General Jake in the penultimate corner might have cost him the win, because if he'd held back and maybe go for attack in the last corner, it would have been closer. Just where you pull the trigger. But Ads, in the end, managed it just right in terms of everything that he did. Really good. And, well, what can you say? The two have done themselves pretty nicely.
they've certainly played the part of Tier 2, and if we can have that for another 19 races this season, I'm going to lose my voice by around round 8.
Yeah. Very, very good. Yeah, very nice. Very, very clean racing overall, to be honest. The only blip is I do still feel sorry for Robin, that lap car behind, but there's a long season to go, and I think Robin's still going to be still there towards the sharp end from the end of the season. But great stuff from the McLaren driver, great stuff from all of them, really, in the top 5, and very, very good race to watch.
Oh man, as we catch our breath from what was almost a breathless end to that race, Collateral Ads make the step down from Tier 1, but he takes the victory in Tier 2. That's how you respond well. General Jake just wasn't quite enough for him, takes second place. Raza Damer holds on to third. Reese and Nigel recovering from 15th up to P5. And as you mentioned there, Michaels, 1.7 seconds covering the top 5, and that's one of the closest margins of victory, I'm sure, between at least that amount of drivers. Phenom takes a distant 6th, but recovered to actually stay in 6th actually. The alternate strategy working for the Mercedes. Diamond takes 7th place, Dynamo Dan takes 8th, Brookieman takes 9th, and Robin, after that collision with Python, just couldn't recover and takes 10th. Oh man.
Remember the time? Do you remember the time prediction from Reese earlier on?
Nah, he said 47 minutes. He was well off. He was gambling a safety car.
2 minutes. He was 2 minutes too high.
It's always 2 minutes, isn't it? Anyway, well, Collateral Ads, General Jake, and Raza Damer will get them in for a bit of a debrief to that race, and I think I know what's going to be said, but that was a thrilling end to tonight's Bahrain Grand Prix, as we'll get the Williams. There we go. And we'll get Raza Damer in real quick. Just need to send the invites out and then we can get underway. There's Collateral Ads. Further back down, there's the General. And last but not least is our P3 driver, Raza Damer. See what they say and see if we can get them into the party for tonight's debrief. But actually, before I forget, a bit of a running theme now in FPRL, we've got to do a sticker stream to end off. As first up, we get the Red Bull, lovely. Then McLaren, Aston and Ford Constructors. And we get Imola, lovely. As everyone's starting to filter in now after the invites have been sent. And we'll complete our second album. There you go, have that. And then getting a bit of an echo from change. Anyway,
I'll mute it until it's my turn.
Maybe just stay muted. Anyway, we get the Williams up on stream for Raza Damer and
Hello.
Michael's. Hello Raza. Think we can hear you well on the stream. And Michael's, want to go for an interview with Raza Damer?
Hey, yeah. Good evening to you, Raza. Hello. Good evening to you, Raza. Very solid result from yourself in P3. Solid qualifying as well, so you can't be too displeased with the start of your season. Obviously, I guess. Carry on, sorry. Yeah, obviously, I guess inwardly you would want to be either second or first, but you must have enjoyed that battle all the way through the end of that race. Yeah, it definitely was a very entertaining Grand Prix to watch. Definitely watch it back yourself. Moving on to the next Grand Prix, Saudi Arabia is the next one. Completely different track, very, very technical and challenging and high speed as well. What's your thoughts going into that next week? Okay, well done on your P3 and good luck to your race next week.
Well done, Raz. Unfortunately, I don't think we picked up your audio in the stream, but mentioning that Jake and himself put up a hell of a fight to catch up to Collateral Ads, but just ran out of time to make an impact on the McLaren. But fair play to everyone, and roll on next week in Jeddah, where hopefully he goes just that one step further, or even takes first place himself. Anyway, speaking of the general, General Jake. P2 tonight and just missed out on victory, but to be fair, after the pit stop phases, there was a lot of work to do to catch up that McLaren.
Yeah, no. Yeah, what a race that was. Qualifying was good. Yeah, the race was alright, just making sure I get the best start, don't get involved in any collisions, and then yeah, it was just going on from there. And yeah, I'm fortunate to Robin to get taken out, and then obviously me and Raza just DRSing each other most of the time. I was thinking about undercutting Collateral Ads, but yeah, he went in first. I was like, right, continue on for one lap, and then yeah, I boxed, and I thought, wow, that gap. I was like, oh, great, 5 seconds to catch, and then yeah, I was using Raza for DRS to catch up to Collateral Ads. Eventually, I think it was lap 22, lap 23, I saw Raza was making a few mistakes, so I was like, I need to go for it, and I went for it, and yeah, I caught up to Ads, and yeah, so I knew he was flashing. He had no ERS, so I was trying to use my ERS, and obviously the second penultimate lap I had him, and in the final lap tried to get him, cheeky little weave in there from Mr. Ads, but yeah, he kept me on my toes, and I'm sure I kept him on his toes, and yeah, what a great race, pushed me all the way to the end, and the pace was very there today.
Well, thank you for giving us a life story there of what happened in that race, but still, I think you summed it up very well. But on to Jeddah next week.
Better Alliance.
Well, you already know my opinions on that, but next about the Tier 2 drivers. Maybe go one step further in the race?
Can I go one step further? No. Probably, unless everyone gets taken out. Jeddah, yeah, it's not one of my favourite tracks, and I'm doing a social race. I know the pace was there, but obviously it was mixed tiers, so it'll be interesting to see what I can do with the actual tier. So yeah, I'm not very fast at Jeddah, but we'll see what I can do when the time comes. Get much practice as possible for it. So yeah, we'll see when the time comes.
Well, obviously, good luck with that, Jake, and
I
say commiserations.
No need to. It's a good race.
Yeah, definitely was one to broadcast over, but of course I completely forgot the Alpha up on stream. There you go, there's the Alpha. And we get the McLaren on stream for our race winner, Collateral Ads.
Oh wow.
And Ads, it's been a while since you last won a race, hasn't it? When it was season
3, I think.
Season 3, well there you go. Around 40 races almost for you to pick up that victory again, but must be said, this one you really had to work for it.
Yeah, that weren't expected at all. I had a late setup change just before quali, and I put my tyre pressures up. Seemed to work in qualifying, and I thought I'll stick with it in the race, see what happens. I got a reasonably good start. I jumped. Who was it? Who was in second? Third? Yeah, second. Who was in second?
At the time, I think it was Robin.
So yeah, I jumped him, and then obviously I got Raz on lap 1, which helped me, and I managed to pull the gap. But yeah.
Well, I thought I was a bit more continuation now, but obviously, if you pulling the pin first for the pit stops, it definitely gave you an advantage. And at 5 seconds, it looked relatively safe, but I think, well, like around 4 or 5 laps left, that gap was teetering towards DRS, and surely that was when you were you really had to knuckle in?
I was shitting my pants, mate. If I didn't pit that lap, I would have been beaten. It was literally just because I did the undercut, which helped me gather the 5 seconds ahead. And then it was dwindling around the 4.3 for a bit, and then it started going down and down and down. And yeah, the last 3 laps were absolutely hell for me, and I had no ERS left, and I was being clever where I was using it. I was using it on last exit and all the DRS zones. So yeah, I was last 3 laps to hell, but that's what you want, close drivers racing. So I know I did a bit of a Verstappen at the end, but
regardless though, running on fumes, but just enough to get to the end. And going on to Jeddah next week. I'm pretty sure you're optimistic.
Not really. This was my first race doing no traction, so I was very surprised where I was in quali and this race. Jeddah last year wasn't a very, very good circuit for me. I haven't got the concentration of all the corners and everything like that. Yeah, I was aiming for a top 10 anyway, so if I get in the top 10 I'll be happy. I don't want to say, yeah, I'm going to go straight in and win it. Because then if I don't, it'll piss myself off. So yeah, I'm aiming for a top 10 there. It's not one of my favourite tracks, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
And I suppose there you know, that is Collateral Lads, our race winner. And that does it for tonight's stream around Bahrain and Tier 2. Thank you all very much for watching and for tuning in. FPRL will be back this Sunday, where our Tier 4 drivers conclude their week in Bahrain and the opening round of our Tier Championships. And a big thank you to the late call-up of SF Mitals for joining me in the commentary box. And Mitals, I look forward to our partnerships in the future.
Thank you very much. Well, you did most of it, but I was more than happy taking a step back here. It was a very good race from everyone. I raced on Sunday, so now I'm a little bit more nervous. So hopefully it'll be a good one.
And actually, before we do go, our driver of the day vote, and Mitals, that's going to be your honour, so good luck.
Well, I got to pick yet.
Yeah, Toe Tom's driver of the day. And good luck choosing a candidate, because there's quite a few.
I'm kind of nervous as well, because there's 3 very good candidates right in this party, so...
Come on.
I have to give it, I'm afraid, to no one in this party. I'm sorry, don't lynch me. I've got to give it to... Pickle. It's got to be Pickle from 15th to...
Bullshit. Where did that come from?
Position changes. Come on.
I would have given it to Ads.
And while
That's a
there's a
close
promotion,
second,
and,
alright.
Never get driver of the day ever.
and while the party sorting themselves out for driver of the day votes, I've said a big thank you to Michaels for joining me in the commentary box. A big congratulations to Collateral Lads, and this has been Cruiser 1872. Thank you very much for watching, and from all of us here at FPRL,